gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, putting America first, second, and third. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, March 16th, 2021, getting into the week here, and all kinds of things are going on. We're having a little difficulty with Skype. I'm assuming that you're hearing me, but the chat window is not coming up, so we need to work on that before we start taking phone calls. As usual, we're going to do news for an hour, then we're going to take phone calls for an hour and get some of these other issues taken care of here. Meanwhile, today in the mail, I got a present that just had Claire and I laughing so much, and there it is. And yeah, we were just laughing like crazy about that. I guess it's an homage to my new teeth. There wasn't a name on there, but the company that sent it was BigGameHunterToys.com. And so you might take a look and see what other charming little wonderful things that they have. All right, getting on into things here right now. Starting with the news. Article coming on out of stationgossip.com, and again, it's calling attention to the fact that Joe Biden just really is not holding it together too well when he speaks out in public. He was asked about Trump's involvement in the COVID vaccine outreach, because that's become a big stink when Biden tried to take credit for the vaccine program, forgetting, of course, that the vaccine programs were all started underneath Donald Trump. So he was starting mumbling about the MAGA folks and local preachers, and I guess really did not make a tremendous amount of sense. Now, Jen Psaki's been confronted for Joe Biden embarking on this tour around the country called the Help Is Here Tour, but he's going everywhere except the southern border. He just does not want to address that migrant crisis, doesn't even want to admit it is a crisis. But it is a big, big problem. And, of course, you've got the Democrats are out there trying to say, well, this is Trump's fault. Biden inherited a broken system. No, Biden broke the system that was working. Anyway, as of right now, there is still no official date set for President Joe Biden to give his first address to a joint session of Congress. This from Nancy Pelosi on Sunday. And all she'll say is, we'll see. Now, we're way past the normal date for a State of the Union speech, but at this point, it does not look like it's going to happen. It really, really does not. Out in California, Governor Gavin Newsom is blasting extremists pushing for his recall, saying they're partisan, anti-mask, anti-vax, and pro-Trump. And, he's basically dealing with the fact that there's a recall movement out there. They have the signatures to put the recall on the ballot. And so now he's just out there playing victim and pointing fingers and trying to find somebody to blame for this disastrous time in office he's had, except, of course, looking at his own performance here. Little bit of good news. Down in Georgia, a judge has announced that he may unseal the Fulton County absentee ballots for a fraud investigation and review. Now, last November, a Georgia poll watcher noticed the suspicious shift in votes from Trump to Biden while monitoring the interim election results on the Georgia Secretary of State website. Voter Georgia co-founder Garland Favorito swore in an affidavit in November that I concluded from looking at these results that this was an irregularity since there was no obvious reason for President Trump's totals to have decreased while former Vice President Biden's totals increased dramatically. Remember, this was even captured on TV and video, seeing that Trump's numbers dropped. That absolutely should not happen in an honest election. Anyway, Favorito has continued to research the Dominion voting machine fluctuations and glitches and found more evidence of votes being switched from Trump to Biden elsewhere in the states. It's now going to the courts. There are, as far as I'm aware, 12 cases still ongoing regarding election fraud last November. And, the corrupt judges at the Supreme Court are refusing to hear them. Everybody's trying to keep the lid on this, and it's not working because the vote fraud was so obvious, everybody noticed it. Over at MyPillow, founder Mike Lindell was on with Steve Bannon and announces he is filing 2 lawsuits against Dominion voting systems. And this is in retaliation for Dominion claiming they're suing Mike Lindell and others for $1.3 billion. So we have dueling lawsuits out there. Now, Mike Lindell is also launching his own social media platform in the coming weeks. And he's saying it will be a safe place for those who've been canceled by big tech platforms like YouTube and Twitter. And he's saying you won't have to walk on eggshells anymore. He says he's really looking forward to it. It's been 4 years in the making, and it's absolutely amazing. There's technology there nobody else has. I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to look like when it finally comes on out. And I'll probably sign up for that because I'm done with Facebook and Twitter and the rest of that here. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm dealing with messages from technicians and stuff. Okay. Derek Chauvin's lawyers are upset about the announcement of the George Floyd civil settlement, which was millions and millions of dollars, and they're concerned over the timing and how it might affect juror impartiality. They have asked for a trial delay. They have 9 jurors seated for the case right now, but they're very concerned that the settlement, I think it was $2.7 million, something like that, was definitely a lot of money, and it may taint the jury pool. Oh, my goodness. Is there anything they will not make a movie about? Gosnell, the producers of Gosnell, are producing a film called My Son Hunter about Hunter Biden. Now, going to their website, which is mysonhunter.com, it does look like they're going to be looking at all the corruption with Ukraine and China going on. I just hope they include all the dirty pictures and videos from Hunter's laptop. That may get it an R rating or maybe even an X. Who knows here. All right, right now over at the Washington Compost, they are busy wiping the egg off their face, and it's going to take a lot of paper towels to do that. They have been caught making up quotes about Donald Trump, and this has to do with Donald Trump's call to the Georgia elections investigator. And the Washington Compost came on out there saying that she had to find the fraud and that she would be a national hero if she did. Well, it turns out an actual audio recording of the phone call was found literally in the trash can of one of the computers involved. And going through the phone call, they find out the quotes attributed to Trump by the by the Washington Compost never happened. Now, the Washington Compost has published a retraction months after the story came on out. And remember, this story about the Trump phone call to Georgia was introduced as evidence as part of his impeachment trial. And so his impeachment was based on fake evidence. So Trump has responded. He's released a statement on the Washington Compost retraction of the Find the Fraud story. And I don't know who else is carrying it in the corporate media. I did see it carried on One American News Network, which is now my absolute favorite news media platform. All righty. Last weekend was the Grammys. And like we have seen trending with all of these self-congratulatory, ego-buffing award shows, the ratings hit an all-time record low. The viewership crashed over 50% from just last year, falling by almost two-thirds. The Golden Globes fell by two-thirds from last year, and the Grammys scored their worst ratings in history. Less than half the people tuned in last year. I think the public is really getting tired of the Hollywood elitist liberal agenda, and they're definitely, they're definitely. Okay, hang on a second. Got something going, and. We've got Skype not responding. I don't know what that is. Okay. Yeah, we've got something that's locked up on Skype. And this is a new version here. Anyway, Tucker Carlson got his licks in, slamming the pornographic WAP performance, WAP, at the Grammys for trying to degrade our culture and hurt our children. And if you look at some of the stuff that's out there in the pop culture, you have to scratch your head wondering why all of a sudden they're declaring war on Disney cartoons and Dr. Seuss and the Muppets. There's clearly a double standard there. When you look at what's going on. And again, I don't watch the Grammys. I don't watch any award show unless I'm actually in the running, which has not been the case for many a year now. Ammon Bundy showed up for a hearing on his case at the courthouse. He was not allowed in because he wasn't wearing a mask. And so the judge charged him with failure to appear, even though he was at the front door trying to get in. So it's just getting a little bit sillier and sillier all the time. All right, so let's talk about COVID-19. Apparently, over 10,000 workers in New York elderly and disabled home facilities caught COVID, and over 30 of them died thanks to Cuomo's insane policies in the state, which to me is a far greater scandal than these allegations of sexual impropriety. And maybe for younger people, these dark hints of groping and fondling and everything are titillating and exciting, but for me, I could care less at this point. And it really is the way he handled the COVID crisis, and indeed the entire government with him. Over at Pfizer, their executives have announced saying that they see a significant opportunity to hike the COVID-19 vaccine prices. This came out of an insider report early today, and so it's all about the Benjamins. It's they got you there by that needle, and they're going to start getting more and more money. Coupled with that, story coming out of Reuters is they're now saying that regular booster vaccines are the future in the battle with COVID-19. In other words, every year, along with the seasonal flu shot, you will get a COVID-19 booster shot. And again, money is just pouring on in, and they're just happy as all heck. They're looking at the profit reports and saying, yeehaw, the yacht is paid for. Story coming on out of Sputnik News. There's a new study out. It was published on preprint server bioRxiv last week, and it suggests that the cannabis plant compound can inhibit infection with SARS-CoV-2 in human lung cells. In other words, cannabis inhibits the replication, stops it from multiplying and growing and increasing the infection. Over in Great Britain, their top statistician has predicted a third wave of COVID-19 will hit in the autumn, despite Britain's wonderful vaccination rollout and virus cases being at their lowest since late September. Pardon me. Sir Ian Diamond, the head of the Office for National Statistics, said that he agreed with England's chief medical officer, Professor Chris Whitty, when he said last week a third wave in the autumn was inevitable. More product, more money, so forth and so on here. Now, we have been talking about what's going on with the AstraZeneca vaccine and how many countries in Europe are already stopping it over reports of blood clots. Now, the World Health Organization came on out and said there is actually no danger. The European Medicines Agency came on out and said, well, the benefits of the AstraZeneca vaccine outweighed the risks. So a few dozen people died. I mean, you're being so picky about this thing. Just go and get your shot here. Well, maybe, maybe not. There's a new dimension to this entire discussion, if you will. And it comes from a story from Russia Today, where U.S. health officials lobby Brazil to reject the Russian-made Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine. And American diplomats actively persuaded the Brazilian government not to approve Sputnik V in order to drive the business to the American vaccine manufacturers. Again, it's all about those Benjamins here. Story coming on out of Moon of Alabama. The U.S. and its Five Eyes partners, that's the organization that spies on us all in these 5 countries, use persuasion, sabotage, and disinformation to gain vaccine supremacy. This is not about public health. It's all about market share and maximizing profitability. And it mentions the AstraZeneca vaccine was attacked in U.S. media by an unqualified writer quoting an investment bank. And the U.S. pharma promoting Anthony Fauci is quite suspicious. So maybe the story about AstraZeneca isn't real. Maybe it's propaganda. Now, Italy has admitted that the assault on AstraZeneca is political. And AstraZeneca, of course, is made in Britain. And again, it's all about selling the American vaccines around the world because it means more money, 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 money. Okay. A senior program officer, a former senior program officer of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, along with the former head of the Vaccine Development Office for the German equivalent of the CDC, has released an open letter to the scientific community warning that the present mass vaccination program could wipe out large parts of the human population. And they're concerned about, mistakes being made with the vaccines, possibly unleashing a mutated form that would be far more lethal than what we have been dealing with so far. Over in California, there is a church that's been fined hundreds of thousands of dollars for holding open services on Sundays, and now they're basically saying enough is enough, and they're begging Governor Newsom to open the state for Easter, to basically say, let the people come in and celebrate Easter. I mean, it's the number 2 big holiday of the religious year. Down in Texas, there was a video shot of a 65-year-old woman violently arrested in a Texas Bank of America for not wearing a mask, even though the Texas mandate has been lifted. Now, we're not sure exactly what happened, whether the Bank of America says you got to have a mask, and even if they do, what gives the Bank of America the authority to call the police and have somebody arrested? Something to think about there. In other news from the world of biologics, down in Mexico, they're sticking to a plan to stop importing genetically modified corn. They're going to put in place a ban on glyphosate, doubling down on a policy that has pleased green advocates but alarmed industry leaders. And there we go. So the plan was announced late last year by executive order. It aims to replace some 16 million tons of yellow corn imported mostly from U.S. farmers, and nearly all of it GMO, with new local production by 2024. So good for them. That makes another country besides Russia that is absolutely rejecting the GMO technology and the glyphosates. Turning to the international news here, the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan just got more complicated, and the reason is because, they had 2,500 troops they said were deployed in Afghanistan. It turns out there's actually more than that on the ground that we weren't supposed to know about, but the Department of Defense is out there saying that there's 1,000 more troops in Afghanistan than officially stated. And so they have to sort of explain why more troops are coming on out than we admitted were actually in there. Meanwhile, Russia is sounding the alarm over the transfer of Turkish army's equipment in Syria's Raqqa. They're alarmed by the transfer of the equipment and ongoing fortification works in Raqqa, and the Russian side is extremely alarmed by this. Now, over the past 24 hours, no shelling by Turkey-controlled illegal armed formations was registered. So I guess they're busy digging ditches and so forth and so on. Over in Iraq, at least 7 rockets targeted another Iraqi airbase occupied by American troops north of Baghdad, the latest in a string of attacks against U.S. positions and interests in the Arab country. 2 of the rockets struck Al-Balad Air Base on Monday, but did not cause any casualties or damage. Okay, we have to take a break for commercials. I'm going to try and clear up why Skype is hung, and we'll be right back.
Nutraceutical, invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxy Silver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Working 2 jobs ends never seem to me. She often goes hungry so her babies can't eat. Fatherless son wears torn clothes to school. We're making fun of him's the only golden.
Okay, welcome back to our show here. And again, a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network does need your help to go on doing what they're doing, which is to keep the American people fully informed so that they can make good choices. And as you can tell, we're working through some technical issues, and we're always in need of replacing equipment. So thanks to those of you who have been supporting the network, and shame on you for those who have not. And a reminder that the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. And if you mail in a donation of $100 or more, include your T-shirt size and a return address, and you will receive a spiffy official RBN T-shirt. And also, don't forget the Front Sight Firearms promotion is still going on as well. Getting on back to the international news, and it feels like the whole world is going crazy on out there. I'm looking at this story that came out of Madness Hub, and it's an appropriate domain for this story. Apparently, children as young as 11 are being beheaded, sometimes in front of their mothers, by ISIS-linked militants who have killed 2,500 people during the Mozambique insurgency. And this has apparently been happening over the last 3 years in Mozambique. And this is the first I've heard that there was a problem going on in Mozambique. But apparently it's been going on for about 3 years now. Britain is going to announce an increase to its stockpile of nuclear weapons as part of a wide-ranging review of security, defense, and foreign policy. The Guardian and The Sun said in their online editions the country would look to raise the number of warheads from 180 to 260 by the middle of the decade. So they're going to get those little mushroom clouds going there. So let's talk a little bit about Syria. We talk about Afghanistan, that's about 20 years. We talk about Korea, that's America's longest war. Most of it has been a ceasefire, which is still holding. But we have Syria has been 10 years since that began. And the Western media are out there saying, oh, yes, it's good, we got to get Syria, let's go get Syria. And it's kind of an ugly situation there. So let's see, let me do this. And there. Alrighty. So it's been 10 years. And it's been 10 years, and the U.S. is still pushing this failed regime change policy in Syria. Back in 2001, former General Wesley Clark described a memorandum issued by then Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld, which outlined a plan on how they were going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq, then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off with Iran. And they're still stuck in the Syrian quagmire, so it's not going very well at all. Meanwhile, in light of the recent attacks on various ships, and it's thought that Israel is attacking Iranian tankers and Iran may be attacking Israeli tankers, the U.S. and Israel are now barring cargo ships and oil tankers from entering Syrian waters. And this is part of the economic siege against the Arab country and its reconstruction process following what's described as a bloody civil war, but was clearly a U.S.-sponsored intervention. Meanwhile, over at the International Crimes Court, they are probing into war crimes committed both by the United States and Israel in Palestine, headed by the chief prosecutor Fatou Bensouda, and they have concluded war crimes were committed by Israel, the U.S., and their allies, and of course the United States and Israel are out there saying, you anti-Semites, you, how dare you, we're the victims, Holocaust, 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 Holocaust. But the ICC is out there doing its job. They do have jurisdiction, and it's about time that somebody held Israel to account for what they've been doing. And speaking of holding them to account, today is the anniversary of the murder of 23-year-old American peace activist Rachel Corrie. That happened back in 2003. She was trying to basically block a bulldozer from demolishing the home of a Palestinian family, and the bulldozer simply ran her over and then backed over her again, killing her. Israel insists it was an accident and the bulldozer driver couldn't see her, but people have gone out to the exact same model bulldozer and verified that there is no way the operator could have failed to see her standing in front of the bulldozer. Meanwhile, the government of Israel is in a panic because the Israeli Supreme Court has legally defined what constitutes a Jew. And this has to do with the right of return law. And in the 8-1 decision, the court found that any practitioners of Judaism, even those who are racially impure and converted through marriage by reform, are entitled to Israeli citizenship. And Netanyahu's not happy about that. Okay, we got to take another break for commercials. We've got our Skype chat working for when we start taking phone calls, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org. So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Stop Terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. Take the red pill.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Extendivite's 7-herb formulation is approved to help maintain cardiovascular health and help lower blood lipid levels in adults. Extendivite is made from hawthorn, garlic, valerian, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, and milk thistle. The herbs in Extendivite have been chosen for their ability to help with overall health. Many people have reported improved energy and stamina in just a few months. If you think you could feel just a little bit better, then Extendivite may just be for you. Extendivite is an all-natural supplement. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here, and we're talking about the international news. And there is a GOP lawmaker who is putting pressure on Biden to target the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, claiming they have links to terrorist groups. And this is coming from Representative Tim Burchett of Tennessee. He sent a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen that falsely claims the boycott, or rather the BNC, is an umbrella organization for foreign terrorist groups, and asserts that the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement runs counter to our nation's interests. Well, it certainly runs counter to Israel's interests, but I, for one, do not see Israel's interests as necessarily lining up with the interests of we, the American people. Another little interesting article. This is from Information Clearinghouse. And, you know, they're starting out over the fact that for the better part of 20 years, presidents were engaged in as a leading foreign policy question of how to restrain Iran, a small country half the world away that has not attacked the United States. In fact, they haven't initiated a war of conquest in 200 years. They do not have nuclear weapons. And, you know, their contribution to regional instability doesn't look any worse than Israel's or Saudi Arabia. But basically what they're saying is the focus on Iran is part of a mechanism to keep people distracted from what Israel has been doing in Palestine. And so I would say that as the International Criminal Court gets closer to a final ruling on that issue, that we're going to see the anti-Iran propaganda just really crank up into rock and roll, warp drive, full tilt boogie. Okay, New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is apparently working to sabotage Joe Biden's effort to return to the Iran nuclear deal, even if he risks setting the U.S. on a course toward war with Iran. 70 Democrats in the House have signed a letter telling Biden he shouldn't re-enter the Iran deal, that the leading Israeli lobby group AIPAC was behind per J Street. So there's a school of thought out there that returning to this deal would lead to a regional war, and I'm not exactly sure how that would happen, because to me, getting Iran back into this agreement with all of these other nations is going to calm tensions down rather than inflame them. Meanwhile, over in North Korea, Kim Jong-un's sister has sent a message to the Biden administration that if it wants to sleep in peace for the next 4 years, it must refrain from causing a stink at its first step. And this is basically a comment on the fact that the United States still engages in provocations against North Korea, not to mention China and several other countries around the world. There is a U.S.-China summit coming up. It's going to take place in Alaska, and they are going to finally address the issue of Taiwan's status. And it will be interesting to see what's going to happen with this strategic dialogue. China, of course, insists that Taiwan is part of mainland China. Taiwan has declared itself an independent republic, and they're constantly threatening to go to war with each other over that issue. All right, turning to the economic news. From Investment Watch blog, over 250 million people faced food insecurity in 2020 amid the pandemic. 250 million. That's a lot of people who are going hungry. But by golly, those defense contractors, they're raking in the dough like crazy. What can I tell you? Another story from the same source saying Americans aren't experiencing real shortages yet. We're just living with limited options. And yeah, I know a lot of people go to the store and they'll see the empty shelves and say, "Oh, gee whiz, they're out of marshmallow fluff this week." Well, that's not a shortage yet. It's just, temporary not on the shelf. When all those shelves are empty from one end to the other, that's when you know you're dealing with shortages. And again, if you are not prepping, you should start right the heck now. Another little article, this one is coming from Zero Hedge, saying that hyperinflation is nature's way of fixing a society that has forgotten how to live within its means. And that is certainly true. I mean, our government just spends money like crazy. It's constantly borrowing it from the Federal Reserve, which is creating the money out of thin air, and then loaning it out at interest. Quite a sweet deal for the Federal Reserve. No wonder they don't want to be audited. And but again, I suppose if I were in the Congress and I had all those trillions of dollars around there, I'd be irresponsible as well. But that certainly seems to be the way they are. Another article, apparently some banks are going to be holding those stimulus checks until tomorrow. And it may have had to do with bottlenecks in the transfer of funds. Even though it's electronic, there are still bottlenecks there. But we'll see what happens tomorrow if the checks are in fact going on out. Meanwhile, and we told you this is coming, the Biden administration is planning the biggest federal tax hike since 1993 to fund infrastructure and climate initiatives. And so basically, you're going to get your little stimulus check for $1,400, and then you're going to have thousands and thousands of dollars added to your taxes. And this may also be a way that they're trying to hide the inflation that all of this instant money creation coming from the Federal Reserve is causing. Because the Federal Reserve will create it, the government spends it on Israel and the military, and then they suck more money away from the American people to hide the inflationary pressures. So, wonderful, wonderful deal for the bankers, for the military, not so good for you. Down at the border, sounds like a song, down at the border. Anyway, border agents are admitting that under Biden, migrants have gone from a trickle to a torrent. And they are just finding that the people smugglers are just working like crazy. They are using rafts to get across the Rio Grande, and they can't keep up down there. Now remember, Eisenhower succeeded in closing that border with Operation Wetback, which I know the woke crowd would say that's a horrible name, but that's what they called it back then, and did it with like 10% of the resources that Immigration and Customs Enforcement has at their disposal right now. And so the fact that ICE is not able to do anything about enforcing our border has to do with their political leadership rather than the merits of the ICE people themselves. Meanwhile, the federal government is planning on using the Dallas Convention Center to house 3,000 male migrants during this border crisis. And yes, Biden, it is a crisis. I don't care what you want to call it. Another story, this one is coming out of Involve.com. Apparently, people who are on the terrorist watch list have been spotted crossing the southern border. They're taking advantage of the Biden crisis to basically come in to the United States. And agents reported having caught migrants from Yemen, Iran, and Sri Lanka amid the much larger numbers of Haitians, Central Americans, and others. So, along with opening the border to the illegal immigrants, Biden has opened the border to potential terrorists. Getting into some of the science news here, Earth had its coolest February in the last 7 years. And temperatures dropped as much as 3.2 Fahrenheit below average in parts of the world. Now, that's not a huge drop, but again, it puts the lie to all this talk about human-caused global warming. Snowfalls are a thing of the past. Just tell the people in Colorado that one right now. Over in London, Mayor Sadiq Khan says he wants fewer white men working in science and engineering, and his plan to fix the situation has sparked a furious backlash online, and I am not surprised because what he's talking about is discrimination on the basis of race. The fact that it's the white race rather than the brown race or the red race or the black race makes no difference whatsoever. It's still racist. It's still discrimination. But Sadiq Khan tweeted out Saturday, there's no good reason why 65% of people working in science and engineering should be white men. Well, let's look at the socialization where young men, especially among the white population, are encouraged by their parents and their schools to go into science and engineering. Look at the cultural upbringing of other ethnic minorities. The emphasis just is not there. And, I'm a believer in meritocracy. I want people in these positions who are absolutely the very best at what they do, and I don't care what color they are, what gender they are, what orientation they are, how many heads they have, whether they have 5 noses on the front of their face. I want the best qualified people in those positions. And I don't think there's really anything wrong with that. Meanwhile, in our educational institutions, which are not really educational so much as centers of indoctrination, polls are now showing that there's one group even more hated in academia than conservatives in general, and that's feminists who are critical of the transgender ideology. And the Center for the Study of Partisanship and Ideology Research found a population at even higher risk, feminists who are critical of transgenderism. Okay. This one really kind of hits home. We've been talking about this for a while. This is from Russia Today. And it's talking about how the left's insistence on pushing drag culture on children is only going to create resentment toward homosexuals, and they're absolutely right about that. Now, being a live and let live kind of guy, I don't care if people are gay or trans or whatever, they can go about their lives and do whatever they want. But this constant program of having, drag queen story hour or dance-a-thons or whatever, for small children, I'm sorry, I'm very uncomfortable with that. And the children are apparently uncomfortable with that as well. And some of these performers, if you want to use that term loosely, are really pushing the bounds of good taste in front of those kids as well. And the parents are not happy about it either. And it's going to create more resentment against the gay community for this kind of overt propagandization to be taking place. Meanwhile, interesting little story here, again from Russia Today. The oligarch bankers are theoretically using the woke public relations campaigns as a distraction from the greatest wealth inequality and economic plunder in history. And the other day I was saying, I don't understand what all this wokeness is about. Well, like so many other things in this world, it's actually distracting us from paying attention to what's going on with our economy. And Goldman Sachs has announced a broad pledge of $10 billion with a B to change the lives of 1 million black women. It's a little thin on detail and smacks of a bid for good public relations from an industry where inequality thrives openly. So, now Natalie Portman is an actress. She was in a couple of the Star Wars movies. She was in V for Vendetta. And she has written her own variation on classic fairy tales to make them gender neutral. And her gender-corrected book of fairy tales is called Natalie Portman's Fables, and it includes The Tortoise and the Hare, Country Mouse and City Mouse, and The Three Little Pigs, all rewritten to be gender neutral. Somehow, I don't think that's going to sell very well. Meanwhile, over at Marvel Comics, they're introducing a gay Captain America who has been designed by a transgender artist, and that is definitely a new pander to the woke crowd here. The new character is named Aaron Fisher, and he's going to be introduced in a new comic book series titled The United States of Captain America. The series will explore various people who don the guise of Captain America, but the first issue will highlight the gay teen version, and I'm predicting that will not sell all that much either. Alrighty, Elon Musk had another victory, another 60 Starlink satellites from the Kennedy Space Center. He was out there celebrating, saying, "Fly, my pretties, fly," which, if you're old enough to remember The Wizard of Oz, is what the Wicked Witch of the West says to her flying monkeys. But he's definitely enjoying what he's doing, creating his new global superfast internet system. And when they get it down to where it'll actually interact with, car devices or handhelds even better, and it will eventually, sooner or later it will. Remember the first cellular phones came out and they were these big things like this, and now their smartphones are pocket-sized here. Speaking of outer space, Myanmar's first satellite is actually being held on board the International Space Station following the Myanmar coup, while Japan's space agency and a Japanese university decide what they're going to do with it. Now, the $15 million satellite was built by Japan's Hokkaido University in a joint project with Myanmar's government-funded Myanmar Aerospace Engineering University. It is the first of a set of two 50-kilogram microsatellites equipped with cameras designed to monitor agriculture and fisheries. Now, human rights activists and officials in Japan worry these cameras could be used by military purposes or for military purposes by the junta that seized power in Myanmar on February 1st, and so they are just hanging on to that satellite. Meanwhile, the Hubble Space Telescope is once again acting kind of weird. We were talking about how back on the 7th, they unexpectedly shut down the Science Observation System and put it into safe mode due to some poorly written software within the spacecraft main computer. But apparently, since they got it back online from that problem, there have been other issues as well. But again, it's 31 years old. It's been out there in the space environment, which is not a friendly environment for equipment. And so, hopefully the James Webb Telescope is going to be up there to take it over. But rather than deorbiting the Hubble, I've got a really cool idea. Why not donate it to some university's astronomy department and let them run it for as long as it's going to run, and then deorbit it? Story coming on out of Global Research talking about neurotechnology. This is the growing body of science of directly interfacing computer circuits with the human brain. I don't hold out much hope for this because my assessment is everybody's brain is organized fairly differently. I mean, yes, there's the different lobes that have general functions in them, like the occipital lobe does your vision processing and so forth and so on. But I think within those lobes, there's no kind of standard language or interface they're going to be able to tap into. But we shall see. Okay, we got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms, or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356, or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, @hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
Welcome back to our show here, and we're talking about the neurotechnology, which is the interfacing of computers with the human mind. And there was a paper written back in 2017 entitled 4 Ethical Priorities for Neurotechnologies and Artificial Intelligence, was in the magazine Nature. And we're out there saying that the powerful computational systems linked directly to people's brains will aid their interactions with the world, such as their mental and physical abilities will be greatly enhanced, which sounds really good. And if you've never read these science fiction books of William Gibson, this might be a good time to start. Start with the book Neuromancer. The problem is that if your brain is totally open to a computer system, do you have any privacy left inside even your own mind? Do you have any freedom of thought if everything that you think is being read off by a machine someplace? So I don't know if the downside is worth the upside here. Alrighty, over in Idaho, House lawmakers passed a bill that will allow school employees to carry concealed firearms without requiring the permission of the school board. And basically, the argument was the Second Amendment doesn't stop at the door of a school. For that matter, none of the Bill of Rights stop at the door of a school, even though we have seen the First Amendment come under serious attack. In a 52-18 vote on Thursday approving the measure, lawmakers moved to expand the ability of school staff members to carry weapons on school grounds, which under current law requires a nod from the school board. Philadelphia is going to join 33 U.S. cities in dimming skyscraper lights so that migrating birds aren't drawn to them in cloudy conditions after 100 were found dead on sidewalks last October. Yeah, that can be a bit of a problem, but then think about all those birds who miss those towers and are going to go on and breed a smarter, more intelligent, more skyscraper-savvy bird for the future. That's evolution at work for you. Russia has deployed a new type of underwater telescope. It's been deployed 4,300 feet below the surface of Lake Baikal, and the telescope is designed to detect neutrinos, which are the smallest particles currently known. They can zip through the entire Earth without stopping, and so detecting them has been a major problem. And the Baikal GVD has been under construction since 2015. It consists of strings with spherical glass and stainless steel modules measuring a total of 17,000 cubic feet. Now, a neutrino is a subatomic particle with no electric charge and very small mass. They are very difficult to detect, and so the Russians are definitely going to be working on that one for a while. Okay, we're coming up here on the top of the hour and our commercial break, our station identification break. We're going to open the phone lines, area code 512-248-8252, and we'll be back after these few words.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cachingproperty.com. That's cachingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, area code 512. I need to put a little tape up here with the phone number here, which I used to have on the video display. So 512-248-8252, I think. Am I correct on that? Anyway, all right, so let's get back to some more stories here. And interestingly enough, let's see. Okay. Sorry, we're still getting used to the new system here. Okay, and 512-248-8252, so I'm not losing my memory. Everyone's always looking for life in outer space, especially out there with Perseverance on Mars here. But apparently 3 unknown microbes were found on the International Space Station. And NASA basically discovered and isolated 4 strains of bacteria at different locations aboard the space station, 3 of which were previously unknown to science. And they're saying this may be the key to space farming. And the known microbe was discovered nestled in an old high-efficiency particulate air filter, HEPA, which was returned to Earth in 2011. 2 were found in an overhead panel of the ISS research station. The 3rd was found on the surface of the dining table. Okay, we're going to start taking phone calls now. We've got Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael. Hey, good day to you. Yeah,
yes.
Sorry to hear about Ken leaving. Sorry about Ken. I hope he does successfully whatever his endeavors. Yeah, Mike. What I want to talk about is first you brought up Kim Jong-un, little rocket man. He's basically going to extort bumbling Biden because he'll say that if you start eating crap with us, well, he'll shoot off an EMP over to the Midwest, knock out the food. You're talking about the food prices. Yeah, Mike, it's going to be a disaster. If this bumbling Biden will not know how to handle a little rocket man and his sister. That's my belief.
Okay.
Let alone Iran and all the other nonsense. But here, Mike, let's get back to the real thing. Miami Herald, so everybody, all your listeners know, the Miami Herald's reported that these illegals, I mean, even these people, the Cubans that keep floating in here to try to sneak in, when they do settle here, they don't get repatriated back. They get $17,000 for furniture. So all these illegals that are coming through the border right now, when they get their apartments and their Section 8 housing, they're going to get $17,000 in furniture vouchers. I wonder how those blue state white males and females feel about that. How did the people that are white in those blue states feel about an illegal alien sneaking through our border, like you said, Operation Wetback, getting $17,000 in furniture vouchers? They're going to get the stimulus check. They're probably going to get better health care than them blue state bluers. And I wonder how they're going to feel when they find out all this information. How come they don't? None of this was exposed through the criminal Zionist media. How white people are being treated, but the illegal aliens are being treated like gold. Okay, like you mentioned, Chinese are sneaking in, Iranians are sneaking through that border, Dominicans, Haitians, We had a big a bunch of Haitians that snuck in through Texas into the border. Now they're coming into, from Mexico. They're coming into the border, coming back to South Florida. It was in the Miami Herald.
Yes.
Mike, white Anglos, I want everybody in your audience to understand this. We're at 10% of the population, ladies and gentlemen. The white Anglos who made this the Magic City back in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, and the 40s, and the 30s, and the 20s. Okay?
Okay.
It's called Magic City. Now we're been invaded. We are the minority. They look at us like, what the hell are you doing here, white man, white woman? Why are you here? They're not coming here to compliment us, Mike, like I've told you for 3 years. They're coming to eat our lunch and take our job and boot you out. Just like you're talking about that London mayor. Those white, whatever the people in the state of the country of England should round him up and deport him back where he came from. This crap about citizenship and all that nonsense, Mike. These people are not coming here to compliment the white males, the Scots, the Irish, the Germans, and the English and everybody else, the Italians, the Poles. No. And by the way, Mike, let's get something clear. Everybody, do you think that the Jews would be in existence if it was the Jews fighting Adolf Hitler or the blacks or Hispanics? Would they have beat Adolf Hitler, Mike? Tell me the real truth. I want to hear it out of your mouth. Would they have beat the Nazis if it weren't for white Northern European males, Christian males fighting in that war, in World War I and World War II?
Well, let's
The Germans would have whooped our
hang on a
ass.
second. Tom, you need to remember the reason that, I don't know about necessarily World War I, but certainly in World War II, what made the difference was America's manufacturing might. We could crank out the tanks faster than the Nazis could blow them up. And that was a major factor. That's why Britain wanted the United States to come into the war. Same thing in World War I.
Mike, I understand that, and I totally 100% agree with you. What I'm trying to say is those men who built those manufacturing, all these guys that came here were German Americans. These guys came from Germany. They came from England. They came from Scotland. They came from Ireland. They came from Italy. They came from France. They came from all over Europe. They were white European Christian men, Mike. I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm saying, do you think, I asked the question was, do you think the Afro-Americans are going to beat Adolf Hitler? Could the Jewish Americans beat Adolf Hitler in a combat war? Maybe in a nuclear, if they had the nuclear bomb, like the Planet of the Apes, like the Vane people beneath the Planet of the Apes. They can nuke the place. But I'm talking about in a real the conventional war, Mike. If it weren't for the white men and women, the white women in this country, and some Afro-American men and women, then we'd have never beat Nazi Germany, Mike. No way. It was the same people. It was the German Americans who were going fighting their own people, basically. And the English, of course, and the Scotch and the Irish, but they're all basically the same people. You know, I just don't get it. You know, these Zionists, they keep picking on how bad white man is. Hey, who's the one that saved your butts, man?
Well, it's kind of one of the reasons why people have come to suspect that the Holocaust story itself is in doubt, because, you know, Israel doesn't act like they're grateful for being saved. Israel doesn't, Israel just keeps asking for more money and more weapons, like, you know, we somehow owe them for something.
That's correct, Mike. My grandfather fought in World War I. My uncle fought in World War II. My father was a Korean War veteran. I had two brothers in Vietnam, like I told you in the past. You know what? They didn't get crap out of that war, out of those wars. They didn't get nothing out of those wars, man. What, VA hospitalization, where they were killing everybody, it seemed like, even back here in South Florida, back in when Lane Bray McCain was doing that investigation where all these American white guys were dying in these VA hospitals by the thousands. You remember that case, Mike?
I remember that case.
Congressman here in Florida was named Miller. Yes, I remember everything about it. I know how they treated my brother. It's terrible. It's horrible. So I'm very bitter about a lot of this crap and how white people are being treated. I'm fed up with it. And you know what? Paul has a great call when it comes to one issue. He's really right on the money, man. You know, come on. We got to always go. We're always kissing butt now. Reparations is coming down the tubes. Mike, one more thing, and I'll let you go in a minute. Hey, they're going to turn the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. into a state? Why? They already got 99% of the people in that area vote for the Democrat.
Yes.
All the blacks over there vote Democrat.
Yep.
So why would they want to make it a state? So to get more senators and more? Oh, come on, to tear down the white man even more? Hell no. I tell every lily white cracker, hey, do your job, man. Actually, show some balls. You're allowing your country to be overtaken, annihilated. Third world status, man. Maybe fourth world status. This continues on. What's going on here, man? I see it here in South Florida, Mike. When I was a young man, Miami was awesome, man. It was an awesome place. Now the traffic's horrendous. You can't even find there's no land left to build. They're trying to, they're going to suck down the Everglades pretty soon.
Yep.
Horrible. It's horrible, Mike, what they're doing to South Florida. And all the white people, they all moved up to Central Florida and the northern part of Florida. What, to give up the sunshine here? For what? For the illegal incursion? And then they dropped the ball with Cuba. That Cuba should have never happened. That was a disgrace. What's going on there? They got so much land in Cuba, it's ridiculous, man. So I've been there, Mike. It's crazy. And then, like you're talking about Mexico, all the fertile farmland they got in Mexico. Why are they coming here, Mike? To take down the white race. And I tell you what,
well, it's more because they're being offered stuff to come here. Like you said before, the $17,000 for furniture and whatnot. I mean, that's a lot of money, you know, it's certainly more than I have right now. And, yeah, I mean, they're literally being bribed to come here because they're being told, you know, you're going to get all this free money and free medical care and housing and all the rest of it. And yeah, they're basically trying to load up the electorate with potential Democratic voters.
Absolutely, Mike. And by the way, it's not $15,000; it's $17,000.
Okay.
We're not even talking about hospitalization. We're not even talking about the medical care these illegals are getting. The Haitians are pouring into South Florida still. The Cubans, well, they'll get on rafts still. They found a bunch of them on the raft, 25 of them the other day, trying to take their risk their butt to come over here. So communism must not be working out too well over there. I've been there. I can told you, it's a disaster, Mike. It's a disaster. And you know what? I blame it on a bunch of white chicken hawks that allow them. You know what? The narrative's being driven by who, Mike? That's where you got to get to the point. Who is driving this narrative? That white man, bad man, orange man, white man, bad man. It's got to stop, man. It's got to come to a screeching halt. And white man better stand up. We're going to lose this whole country. We'll end up like Cuba. I guarantee it. We're worse. We'll be worse than Cuba because we're like. And Mike, all these illegals coming here. You think they don't all want a new truck or a carro? They don't want a new carro. They want a comida. They want everything, Mike. They're not coming here for the luxury of being good to the founding fathers, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. They never had that in their own country, man. They're coming here to get money, pesos, dinero. They want the money, Mike. And let's not kid ourselves. That's what it's all about. Everything. All these Jews, all they want is money. Everybody wants. I want money. Everybody wants money. But some people want so much money, it's unheard of. Like this Gates and these sore ass and this Zuckerberg, and then you got this Bezos. Why do they need all this billions and billions of dollars for what? They think they're emperors of like they built a pyramid or something, the Great Pyramids? Ridiculous, man. And in the meantime, they're destroying the country, wiping this country right out. Socially, economically, I mean, every which way you can think of. Culturally, our culture is being destroyed, man, by the minute. Every minute goes by, our culture is being more and more torn down, destroyed, because a bunch of leftist, Zionist, communist, Marxists. That's what they are, Marxists, man. That's what they really are. They think they can play. People are sheeple. They think we're all a bunch of imbeciles or sheeple. Man, that's what they try to do. They're trying to round us up like cattle and put us in a pin and say, "You're going. We got the coin. You got the going." That's ridiculous. It's got to stop and desist. And like you mentioned, Mike, if you even say the word Operation Wetback, they're going to call you a racist. A lot of people.
I'm sure I'm going to get letters on that one, but that's what Eisenhower called it.
Well, you know what? You're going to get emails about it, Mike, because you called people back in the 50s, they were wetbacks. You watch, and you're going to tell me about it on the next show or whatever. I'm telling you that, you know what, Mike? You can't even tell the truth anymore. That's the problem. You cannot tell the truth, what's going on right in front of your eyes, right before your eyes, what's going on in our country. And we are being invaded. I don't care what that bumbling buffoon Biden says. He's an idiot. He's a dirty, dirty man. And it's like Como. A homosexual is getting away with murder. Homosexual is getting away with murder. I'll tell it to his face. He couldn't hold a torch to Ron DeSantis here in the state of Florida. That imbecile Como.
Okay.
He's homosexual. He's a freak. And that's what he is. And he's a liar. He should be held for murder because he's murdered thousands of Americans, men, white and black Americans, women and men, white and black, in those nursing homes. He's a murderer. I don't care what anybody says. And you even have people that have a lot of sway in the media are saying the same thing. This guy is a murderer. But the liberal, leftist, communist, Bolshevik sheeple get away. I mean, they're not the sheeple. We're the sheeple. The leadership.
Okay.
The white. Everybody on the right is a sheeple. You guys are lambs.
All right.
Or
Well,
sheep, whatever you want to call us.
All right, Tom.
It's a disgrace, Mike.
Yeah,
it's
Tom.
A disgrace.
Okay. Time
Mike.
for you to say goodbye because I've given you a lot of time and I get lots of emails complaining
Mike.
about that.
My call, and I hope you have some great callers calling, Mike. I hope some great.
Well, I'm sure I do. They're already waiting in the list here, and we're going to go to Kevin in West Virginia. Hello, Kevin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mr. Mike. Yeah, Tom's pretty much on point there. I just wanted to tell. I have a couple of things I wanted to say. I'm also moving from West Virginia down to South Florida within the year. So, I mean, I'm a white male and my girlfriend's a white female, so maybe we can kind of shake some things up down there a little bit. But what I called in for, I don't know about you or if you've seen it or if you feel this way either, but it seems like every single day Joe Biden keeps sliding further and further and further and further and further down. It seems like every day it gets worse and worse and worse.
I agree.
I'm curious how much longer is this charade going to last? You have people like Lloyd, I think I have the name right, Lloyd Anderson, who was ahead of Katrina, and wanted to disarmed everybody down in Katrina. You have this guy, is he ahead of them? Did they appoint him to some big position? I thought they appointed him head of something, but I'm not sure. You got this guy. I mean, it just seems like this Joe Biden administration is falling apart at the seams.
Yes, it does.
I mean, it's kind of interesting to watch. It's interesting to watch, but it scares the living hell out of me because what do we do whenever this does completely fall apart? I know you're going to say rebuild, but how do we do it? How do we get these, and if I may say, these liberal leftist people, how do we get them out of a new system once this one collapses? Because it does look
it may take crowbars.
Downhill. Yeah, it may.
Yeah.
It's just about your the Russians with that telescope down in the lake.
Yeah.
We have something like that down in Antarctica.
Yes.
Detecting neutrinos. And if anybody's ever interested, subatomic or subparticle or quantum mechanics, that's a very interesting to research that.
Yes, it is.
Quantum mechanics is, and quantum biology, if anybody's ever interested into that, is pretty new and pretty neat. Well, you have a good day. I want to thank you for what you and Miss Claire do.
Thank you.
You guys don't have to do this, and I appreciate you guys bringing the truth out. You guys touch lives, and I don't even know if you realize it, but I'm somebody that was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and listening to RBN, you guys have changed my life. And
I'm glad to hear it. Thank
say.
you very much for the kind words. Okay, well, thank you very much for the call. We're going to let you go and switch over to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, Mike? Mike, I turned you on a little late today, but I heard you say something about GMO food being imported. Did you say it's going to Mexico?
No, Mexico is going to ban GMO imports and glyphosate, and they're basically going to replace the corn they import from the United States with domestically produced varieties.
Well, that's what I thought you said. Okay, I wasn't sure whether you said the up, but yeah. Well, because this shows me what I'm suspecting more and more, that Mexico pretty soon, these walls and stuff, Mexico is going to have to start building walls to keep us out of there.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, this country is going to crap, and Mexico seems to be improving night and day. And this Obrador, I believe his name,
yes,
he is excellent. And everybody says, well, he's a socialist. Well, guess what? If a socialist is going to be for his country, okay, and put his country first, and take care of his people, and not worry about the globalist scum like Bill Gates and others, and Zuckerberg and all these other bums, okay, then guess what? Socialism is the way to go, if that's the case. I don't say it's always the way, not at all. But what we got here going on right now, people are making a mistake. And I wish they would, even Alex Jones, is saying, it's the Chekhovs. it's the Chinese, it's the communists, it's the commies. It's not the commies in this country that is destroying this country. It is the worst type of predator capitalists and globalists that want to not only destroy the country, they want to destroy the world. They're trying to depopulate us. This is what this came out with this Dutch doctor. I don't know if you heard about that, Gertie something or another. It was Mike Adams was talking about it. It was talked about it today in InfoWars and a few other places. I heard about it last week already by the High Wire with Del Bigtree. They're saying this vaccine is not only, it's more dangerous to other people than the people who are taking it.
Okay, Mark.
It's shedding the virus.
Mark, I got to put you on hold. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Hey there, are you going to wait till the cows come home to get your new ease-off drop-and lift?
What in the world is an ease-off drop-and lift?
Our ease-off is a new tool to increase production for your meat processing company that will get that whole hog or half a beef on or off your rail with our remote control.
That sounds great, but can I afford it?
Sure, and the ease-off installs fast. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue, speed up your line, and increase profits.
Okay, I'm convinced. Where can I get my ease-off?
Go to easeoff.com. That's EAZEOFF.com. And hurry because we're offering free shipping for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too.
Ease-off, LLC, 417-932-6419.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Politicians and preachers once sometimes told the truth. We didn't throw war's first stone and sacrifice our finest youth. With no video games or cell phones, a house felt like a home. Children fought and played together instead of on a computer alone.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Mark in North Carolina. And Mark, if you could just sort of pick up where you left off.
Yeah, this guy, I believe his name is Kurt. I don't know. I have a hard time with some of these foreign names. Gertz, something show off or something. I don't know. I probably got the last name wrong. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, he is saying, but this guy's legitimate. I mean, True News is talking about him today too. They went over his resume. This guy is like heavy duty. He's actually not an anti-vaxxer. He's actually a pro-vaxxer vaccine. But he's saying this vaccine, because of the way it's being done, could cause millions of people to die, even maybe billions, God forbid. He said because what's happening is it's causing the disease to mutate. In other words, you're going to take a relatively harmless thing like COVID-19, which is basically a flu, and it could mutate to the point that it could literally wipe out a large portion of the world's population. I mean, and like I said, I don't think this is by accident. I think these globalists, this is just what they want. You look at their modus operandi. All they want to do is lower that population. I mean, look at the Georgia Guidestones. Look at the way they try to turn a man into a woman or a woman into a man. This is all to push gay marriage. All of this stuff is to lower the population. Not to mention the way the people's fertility is being hurt by not only these vaccines but the plastic they put in the water.
Yes.
And other things. Mike, these people, I keep on trying to say these people are evil. The problem is not whether you're white, black, brown, yellow, or whatever other color you are. The problem is these evil scum are actually trying to cause a race war to take people's attention away from who the real bad people are. Okay?
Okay.
And that's, again, we can start with Gates. We can start with Klaus Schwab there. And Zuckerberg. The other guy, what's his name? The guy who runs Twitter. Dorsey.
Dorsey, yeah.
Dorsey and others. Buffett. These people are evil. They want to rule this world, but not with us. They think they're going to turn themselves into robots and run the world like that. And they don't need people anymore. This is what they're up to. That's why I like Alex Jones. I mean, he's got most of it right, what he says. He goes into this. He's been studying these people for years. He's coming up with shows. He's had it back in 2010. Even Joe Rogan was running some of this stuff. We were predicting all this stuff. This is the problem, Mike. It's not, I know immigration, sure they want to, they want to cause turmoil all over the place. So, of course, why not open up the borders like that, too? And it's not by accident they put a demented old man in as president, okay, and stole the election. It's not by accident. They know they can control the guy. The guy got no mind left, barely got a mind left. So they basically tell him what to do, and he does it. And by the way, I would like to see with Cuomo, I'd like to see Cuomo start singing and find out who told him to put all these people in these nursing homes and kill all these people. Because I believe it probably came from somebody like Gates. That sounds certainly like the type of thing Gates and Fauci, by the way, that they would have told him to do. I'm hoping he starts singing. Of course, that's if he doesn't get rubbed out first, if they think he does. But these people, Mike, these people mean business. They want to kill us. That's what they're trying to do. This is not about socialism or fascism or any other ism, other than murderism, you could say, or
Okay.
That's all this is. They're trying to kill us, Mike. People get wise, understand what this is about, and don't take those vaccines, whatever you do, folks. Take off your mask. Do not take the vaccine. Please, whatever you all do, don't take. Look what happened to Marvelous Marvin Hagler
Yes.
this week. No question he was killed by that vaccine. One day after he took it, the man was healthy. He worked. He's still 66 years old. He was in great shape, still worked out. Not one of these fighters who was taking too much punishment and then let himself go in the later years and stuff. No, this guy was in great shape, okay? That killed him. Tommy Hitman Hearns is now his best friend. Said it, right? While he was in the hospital, he said he went to the hospital because of a bad reaction he had to the vaccine, and then a few hours later he was dead, all right? killed by that vaccine. I don't care what mainstream media is trying to tell you. He was killed by that vaccine, period. All right, Mike, that's about it. All right, I don't want to bother you with anything more. I'm too emotional. I probably shouldn't. Some of the things. Oh, by the way, one more thing. Israel, okay? Israel is now finding out what it is to live in a tyrannical regime like they've been living in, because now that regime is turned on the people there.
Yes.
With the COVID, with the lockdowns.
They're getting a lot of deaths over there. They really are. Okay, well, Mark, we got to take another break for commercials. I'm going to let you go here. We have more callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed the newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
The newspaper? Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, a majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper does not give out the important attention on what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what really happened?
Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones to Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, there are a couple of things. One, I like President Obrador. I think he's going to be a good man for his country. But the problem is this nonsense that Biden has unleashed on the border is going to create unholy hell for Mexico, because he's going to have these cartels and human traffickers running amok in his country.
Yes.
He can't have that. And eventually there's going to have to come a day of reckoning between the two. So I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure Obrador wants the carnage that's going to take place in his country and the human trafficking. And on top of that, the other thing I want to mention here was that earlier on, Tom talked about the Germany in World War II and how the United States. The truth is, in World War II, there were 50 German divisions on the Eastern Front.
Yes.
There were fewer than 10 on the West. All right. Two mistakes Hitler made. He called off the Wehrmacht at Dunkirk. He should have annihilated the British on the beach at Dunkirk. And he should have ordered Operation Barbarossa, which was the invasion of Russia. So if he hadn't done the second one, and he had those 50 divisions to put off into the West, I don't think there's any amount of armor that the United States military could put on the field that would have defeated Germany in World War II.
Well, you're forgetting the United States had the nuclear bomb.
Well, not until 1945. I talked with my father about this. He was an officer in the artillery during World War II. He was a great admirer of the Germans, and in fact, on a couple of occasions, he said we fought the wrong enemy in World War II.
Patton said the same thing.
Yeah, he said man to man. He said if you stack the German or the Wehrmacht and the SS up against Americans, he said at best that they might have been lucky to have a standstill. But the big mistake was the fact that Hitler had that he ordered Operation Barbarossa. His field marshals argued against it, but Hitler, being who he was, won the argument. And so that took 50 divisions, and put them on the Eastern Front and left fewer than 10 on the West. Now, You tell me in that case, how might that war not have ended? Now, the United States had the bomb in 1945. The question is, would it have gotten to that point? I think if you put those divisions out there in the West, they wouldn't have gotten that far. They might not have gotten to the point where they could have actually tested a bomb.
Well, let me give you the counter argument here. I mean, given that the United States and Russia were allies in World War II, if Germany had put all 60 of its divisions on the Western Front, that probably would have opened up the door for an Allied invasion coming from the East.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you can make that argument, but the fact is, the Operation Barbarossa caught Stalin completely off guard, and if Hitler had been coy enough to play that, not to do that, I'm not sure that Stalin had anything to gain by allowing the Allies to come in along an eastern pathway. So it's we could speculate about a lot of this. And of course, I'm speculating too. But the big mistake was the fact that Hitler ordered the invasion of Russia.
Yes.
And the fact is, it was Russia that actually won the war.
Yes.
It was not the United States.
No, the German armies had been decimated by the time they were done with Russia.
Yeah, that's right. When they first started the invasion of Russia, the kill ratio, I think they're like 7 or 8 Russians killed for every German.
Yes.
Now, things took their toll, and of course, the weather and what else, and the Russians had just an infinite number of men to throw at the Germans, and they did. And ultimately, at the end of the war, what happened was that the Russians were able to sweep through from the east into Germany.
Yes.
And that actually drove the war to an end. I spent a lot of time in Berlin, And you can walk through Berlin today, and you can still see buildings out there that are pockmarked with
yes. Same thing in Munich. Same thing in Munich.
Yeah. And it wasn't the United States or France or Great Britain that was there. It was the Soviet Union, and then they suffered just horrendous losses in that war. And frankly, in the Battle of the Bulge. You know when the Germans lost the Battle of the Bulge? They overran their supply lines and ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That's what did it.
Yes.
anyway, and I know we like to talk about our vaunted American military, but the fact is, the Wehrmacht and the SS, I think, were far better than anything the U.S. had to put on the field. And it was a matter of Hitler having made some just boneheaded orders during the war that put Germany in an untenable position and caused it to be caught in a vice at the end of the war, with actually the pressure not coming from the United States or Great Britain, but it came from Russia.
Well, the Russians were a little bit annoyed with Hitler, so that sort of motivated them.
I can imagine that they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks for taking the call, but that's all I got to say. And again, I want to emphasize about Obrador. Obrador is going to have some serious problems with Biden.
Oh, I'm sure of that. I'm definitely sure of that.
I mean, liberals never seem to understand unintended consequences, and the unintended consequences in this case are going to ripple throughout Mexico, and of course in the border areas of the United States. And Obrador is going to have to pick up. I mean, he's going to have to confront Biden about this sooner or later.
Yes.
Yeah, he's dealing with a lunatic on this side of the border. Thanks,
Yeah.
Mike.
Well, I don't know about lunatics so much as just flat out incompetent, but apparently Kamala Harris is doing more and more of the actual job these days. They just haven't announced it. Anyway, Kelly, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to let you go. We have lines open right now, area code 512-248-8252, and we're going to go to Lauren in Ohio. Hello, Lauren. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I don't know what's crazier, that they're doing this stuff or that, you're watching them do it. And just call and, opine about 50 years ago. Are you kidding? There's nothing new under the sun. It's white people killing their cousins. That's what it's in Europe, the World War II. White people here killing their cousins. Civil War, white people here killing their cousins, North and South. Revolutionary War, War for Independence is what we called it. They called it a revolution because we were fighting them. They were trying to treat their white cousins like they treated brown skins in India and Africa. And these white men weren't going to have it.
Nope.
Okay? And it was the Christian part of it. We're all made by the Creator in heaven. That's what this country is about. You can't have socialism. It's socialism or freedom. The Constitution is a contract whereby each man's freedom is protected by a Republican form of government where all men are equal under the law, and that's the law of God and conscience, to build their lives as they see fit, answerable only to the God that created them. That's what's so great about this country. But we're a bunch of whiny-ass pussies anymore. We want to put our hand out and get what we didn't earn. White men and women, what are you doing about your children? Where are they all day? So I don't want to hear about what's your problems and pining and whining about your country being stolen from you. I'm brown. I can make it.
Okay.
Doesn't matter who comes here. But, what I'm saying is, listen, the kids are in school all day. They're being lied to. Evolution, global warming, tranny story time. All these things are lies. Economically, they're telling them lies. Medically, health-wise, they're telling them lies. Remember, they backed off on the food pyramid. Oops, we were telling you that wrong. Now they're shooting them up. How do you get a whole society to take shots of poison that denatures, that changes the body that God gave them? Well, you get a bunch of people that don't believe there's a God. Well, we're not sure. Okay, that's fine. I get that. But still, do you do dumb stuff? Well, yeah, when you've been in school. And how do they know that you were ready for this? They've been measuring your dumbness. That's the point of these international math and science tests and all these tests. That's all the tests in school that they give behind the backs of the mothers and fathers. I ran for state school board. I watched all this happen. And that's why I'm telling you, your personal responsibility and control of your life is the only thing that's going to save you. Your knowledge about your body. By the way, that man that was talking about the biology of this disease, you've got a show on Saturday night. It's Ingrid Castle, and it's Immunize Wisely. On the second hour, she had a man named Jeff who did research with the guy, remember Dr. Parker's Pathways?
Yes.
The Sunday show, great show. Guy was a Nobel Prize winner. Okay, that is biochemistry. That is stuff about ultraviolet light inhibiting your detoxification system. Then the metals, how they switch copper and zinc to heavier metals that they're spraying in the chemtrails, radioactive barium and strontium and aluminum. And so what I'm saying is go check out the second hour of that show. Just fast forward 5 minutes. And they let him on for a couple of segments because he explained what was going on. The other thing people can do, please look at the mycoplasma paper that I've been begging people to look at. It's a 2001 paper that explains that the CDC, the NIH, the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology, all these people are involved in the creation of this bug. This is AIDS. That's why people are testing positive for AIDS. The first paragraph tells you it's the Brucella bacterium a piece of it merged with the Wiesna virus. They extracted Merck, Sharp, and Dome, extracted the mycoplasma. Now, Dr. Sherry Rogers, she tells you that it's 5 pathogens all patched on to that bat coronavirus. It's man-made. And so it's not that it's harmless. It's that it's designed to kill people who are out of shape, taking drugs like ACE inhibitors, because there's more ACE receptor cells on your lungs than anywhere else. And so that's how it gets in. If you take vitamin D, it can't get in. But do you hear any recommendation to take vitamin D? And this is what I'm saying. When the solution is so simple, because these, although they're man-made and they're dangerous, they're also very fragile. They can't beat God. But you don't hear the FDA, the people that you're going to, that you're bowing to in leadership, that you're obeying and giving your money and access to your children, they don't tell you what to do to save your own life. This is my point. We have all the power. We can turn this around right now. And I know I sound a little harsh, but it's getting late. It's getting very late. This is not something you can vote your way out of. And do we really want to have a civil war? No. The Bible says expose and overturn. If we will simply go stopthecrime.net, Deborah Tavares, take a look. It's what they're doing. Take it to your congressmen. Take it to your senators and tell them, either you stand up against this and defend our country, or we stop giving you the tax dollars. Kelby Smith, hisadvocates.org, and just change your status. You don't have to pay taxes. Now, if you work for the government, you owe taxes. But for the rest of people, the fruit of your labor is yours. Just think about it. God made you. He didn't make you responsible to give the fruit of your labor to some other man because he thought he could do better with it than you can. They just took $2 trillion, and you got 9% of it in a $69,000 bill for a lousy $2,800.
Yes.
Now, the reason that they're doing that to you is because you're allowing it.
Yes.
Stop giving them your money. Stop doing what they say. Take your children out of these schools. Turn off that TV and boycott big business. So I'll get off. I know there's other people waiting, but we have the power, and I really don't. It does not serve us to continue to bleat and whine and blame. This is our fault because we are not upright. De Tocqueville said, America is great because America is good. When America ceases to be good, America ceases to be great. Carney B at the Grammys, that's America. Satanists, pedophiles, and drug-dealing criminals, that's the government. Stop doing what they tell you. Educate yourself, educate your neighbors, and, like I said, take it to the congressmen and senators. I know they're blackmailed, but if they understand that, hey, we're going to stop giving you money, we're going to stop doing what you say, and just separate. I mean, really, just start trading amongst each other. Start loaning and borrowing, educate each other's kids. That's what we've been doing, and it works. And it's the way this country was when de Tocqueville went through, and we were 90% literate. So, we can't be in a place where we're chopping babies up in Virginia, Governor Northam, keep the babies comfortable while we take orders for their parts. If we don't do this in front of God and everybody, well, we deserve to burn if we don't change what we're doing. So let's start at the bottom, and be personally responsible. Personal power. I'll change responsibility to power. Then maybe it sounds like more fun.
Okay.
It is fun. Okay. I'll leave you go. God bless you.
All right, thanks an awful lot there. We have phone lines open right now, area code 512-248-8252, and we're going to go to Al in Canada. Hello, Al. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I don't even remember why I called now.
Immigration is what the control room said.
Yeah, it was Tom. Homosexual. That's what got me to call in. I sent you a couple of links there.
Yes, I saw them.
One of them, the last one was the Forbes from 2016, exactly what it cost Canada for immigration. And back then it was like $23 billion. That's a big number.
Yes, it is.
And then the first one is a breakdown of what people actually do get. And what's missing in there, Mike, and this is very interesting, is children under 6 years old get about $560 a month from the federal government, and then provincially you get more. When I say more, I don't mean like another 500. It'll be like 100 or 140, or like back in the day it was called baby bonus when I was a little kid. Anyway, So that first one I sent you where they say that $50,000 is misleading for a family of 4 or 5. No, it's not. Because there are 4 kids there. That's over $2,000 a month. They're getting directly from the taxpayer.
Yep.
So immigration costs a lot of money.
Yes.
But even not even looking at that, people that just freeload, and don't work and contribute to society, and they have a bunch of kids from a lot of different fathers, and that can happen.
Yes.
$600. It's about $650 a month per child is what you're going to get in
Yeah.
this country. From 0 to just like 17 or 18 years old. And of course, if they go to college or university, they still get that, right?
Yes.
The parent still gets that. But it's a lot. It costs a lot. And what are they doing? They're basically paying people to have kids.
Yeah.
Right? To keep that pyramid scheme going. So my question is, if this whole COVID thing is a hoax and they're trying to depopulate the world, how do you take into account this fractional reserve banking system that we're dealing with and all this other jazz? How does that work out?
Well, it only works out if all of these people that are immigrating or being born become contributing members to society and are generating tax revenues to try and retire some of that private central bank debt. But looking at how the debt is going out of control here in the United States, there just aren't enough people, even counting all the illegal immigrants, to ever pay that off. Okay, Al, stay on the line.
Well, no, there never will be.
Okay, stay on the line. Got to put you on
Anyway, I'll
hold.
let you go, Mike. I want to hear more calls. Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye. Phone lines are open, 512-248-8252.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
For over 20 years now, Extendivite has proven time and again it really works. Here is a testimonial from Amazon.com. I received an arterial switch at birth. In my mid-20s, I started getting slight runs of NSVT. Nothing too serious, but enough to cause worry. I started taking Extendivite a little over 2 years ago, and it helped cut the palpitations and NSVT down drastically. This isn't a cure-all supplement. I strongly recommend a good diet and exercise to aid in any heart troubles you may be having, and I strongly recommend giving Extendivite a try. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the seven seas, yeah, I want to be
Welcome back to our show here, last segment of our program today, and we're going to go to Robert in Kansas. Hello, Robert. Welcome to the show. What is on your mind?
Hello, Michael. I wanted to answer the meritocracy question about why we don't experience that here in America anymore. And this comes from when I was at university. It's probably 10 years ago now. I was in a political science class, had a great professor. Turns out later I found out he's a communist Marxist, but he's still a smart guy.
Yeah.
And we were in class and we were having a discussion, and it got into affirmative action and these other ideas and why, along the lines of meritocracy. And I wouldn't back down. The rest of the class really wouldn't say much, but I was like, no, that's wrong to not have meritocracy. And eventually it got so heated, he was like, let's talk after class. So I went in his office after class and we talked about it. And basically broke it down to me like this. He said, if we allowed meritocracy, then white men and a few Nordic Asians and maybe a few Jews would occupy every position of leadership and management in the country.
Yes.
And I said, well, what's wrong with that? And he said, well, we don't want that. We're not here to raise mankind up with good human leadership. We're here to bring mankind down. We're not eugenesis, we're dysgenesis. So we want to bring the nation down to a lower standard by putting people in place, women, minorities that aren't qualified to do these jobs, to bring the standards down and to ruin the country in a sense. And I think if you look around, you can see that they've largely been successful.
Oh yeah, look at Biden.
And so. Yeah, look at Biden. Biden can hardly stand up there and say a few words. The poor guy. I bet he wishes he would have went and played golf, huh, Michael?
Yeah, I think Biden's getting ready to say, let's recount those votes again.
Yeah, well, he just outright laid it down for me, though, Michael. He said, yeah, we don't want white men in charge of things because then society would function well, and we don't want that. We want to break things down and bring mankind to a lower level. That's to be managed. It's easier to manage people who are dumb, who don't know the truth, and are being led. And frankly, it's maybe harsh to say, but being led by inferior people, you get inferior results.
Yes, you do. Look at Common Core.
Yes, sir, and that's what he. I couldn't believe he said it the way he did. He wouldn't say it in front of the class, obviously, but to me, he knew that I got it, and he was just like, no, this is what it is. And he was an older guy, I won't say the university, but he was just straight up with me, and he said, yeah, that's the goal. Is we can't have a meritocracy in America anymore. Not since probably the 1950s have we had actual meritocracy. And he said that's the reason that we're here to manage people, and we don't want human leadership. We want government leadership. We don't want men leading their families and competent men leading corporations and states and whatnot. We want to manage that, and we don't want strong people in the right position. That's why.
All right, Robert, I got to let you go. There's the music playing. The show is over. My apology to those callers waiting on hold who did not get on the air. Please call back tomorrow. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.